Mr. Joe TUAZAMA.
Thank you very much. And welcome to Australia. This guy is a newcomer in our community, and I want to welcome you. This is Australia, a beautiful land, a place of blessing and honey and milk. Join us, explore it here, and make use of the opportunity. Can you hear me? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for coming along tonight. I want to pay my respect to the traditional owners of this land, the Waja Nunga people of the Nunga Nation, to their elders past, present, and future. I'm humbled to be here tonight as a son of the soil. I was born in Liberia, and in me, I got Liberia in me. So I know I like to call myself an African, but when I come to this community, I don't deserve to sit anywhere special. I can sit anywhere because this is my home and this is my community. Let me start by also acknowledging Mr. Christopher Sunday, the chairman of the Liberian community in WA, and his code of officer, and congratulate you for your win and for your induction tonight. We look forward to working with you. I want to also say thank you to Mamboa for the great leadership you displayed. It is not very easy to lead as a woman in a society where men still have dominance. And I know there have been some challenging moments, but you've shown your resilience. And I want to say thank you to you and your team. To our elders, I want to say thank you very much. We cannot have a successful community when we don't have men and women like you that we can sit on to make decisions that we can hang here with. Thank you very much. Thank you for continuously standing with our community. There have been times that we thought our community was going apart, and your intervention has brought stability. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. To my fellow African leaders here tonight, I can see Phil from the Congolese community, Maurice and Rashid. I want to say thank you for coming. We got Roseman here, who is the president of the Rwanda community abroad in Perth. We got Lou Ibrahim, who is the president for Somalia, Perth. We got Salam here, who is a representative of the Ethiopian community. We got Simeon here. Simeon is the president of the Sierra Leone community in Western Australia. We also got Batu here, who comes from the Voice of Sierra Leone, and other subgroup within the Sierra Leonean community. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our guests here tonight, I feel honored to talk to you a little bit about Liberia. Tonight, I want to contemplate and share with you on something that I've always thought about. I see myself as an African man who is built, who has strength and can withstand tension and can fight for myself. But I always think, why was it that at one point in time, many years ago, that 5 sailors, 6 sailors got on their ship and went to Africa and brought over 200 men to America, to Europe, to other places, and enslaved them? That's a question I continue to ask myself. How did this happen? And recently I realized that what happens when these sailors got to Africa, they were received by our leaders. And what they did for them was they celebrated them. They brought the beautiful young ladies and paraded them, and they chose which one they wanted. And when they started to converse, they said to them, we want 300 people to take away with us so that they can work for us. And what our leaders did, they told them, because you want 300, we'll give you 320. So that in case any one of them gets sick and passes away on the ship, you are not a loser. Then they gave them an extra 20 men who are well-built and stocked like myself, and say, we train these men to operate your guns that you brought, so they protect you. And those concubines that you have met here, we give them to you to please you on the ship while you go to Europe. And they forgot about the inhumane treatment that our people received when they were taken abroad. When slavery was about to be abolished, African leaders were crying that they should give them a chance to sell their last group of slaves they had in their dungeons. And when we were liberated from slavery, those men that came back to Africa as free slaves, they came back with so much vengeance. Because when a person is oppressed, when you have freedom, you don't know how to make use of the freedom. So when those men came to Africa and finally settled in Liberia, they did not come with the intention of forming part of being part of the society there. They came to in turn enslave us and treat us just how they were treated when they were abroad. And tonight, I just want to take you to the love of liberty brought us here. The love of liberty brought us here. I don't want to dwell on Liberia. Liberia is 175 years old. And I think we got very limited to show as a country. And this is something when you sit down as a young man who dream to see a better country that you can go back to in your old age. A man who wants to see his sons and daughters enjoy the benefit of dual citizenship. You worry because not too much you can show, not too much you can be proud of. Today we are here in Australia because the love of liberty brought us here. And the platform that we put down today, the premise we laid today, will have long-term impact on our sons and daughters. Because when the free slaves came to Liberia, they did not lay the right platforms for us. Instead, they enslaved us. My father has to change his name to Jones, to Peters, to Mark Anthony, if he wanted to go to the University of Liberia. My father was not elected to become a parliamentarian, except he stayed with them and behaved like them. And today, we are here in Australia because the love of liberty brought us here. And what is liberty? Liberty means freedom. Liberty means knowledge. Liberty means blessings. And we got all these things in our corners today. I want to encourage us as Liberians to make use of the liberty that brought us here. Yes. We need to start to change the conversation we have with ourselves, our children, amongst ourselves, so that tomorrow our sons and daughters can reap the benefit of this liberty that brought us here. I spend most of my time as a refugee, moving from camp to camp, so as many of you here, and we know the challenges we went through. We are here today. And we are here today because we want a better life. And that life doesn't come just as we think. We have to work hard for it. It is a shame that many of the time when I walk out there, I go to places, I hear just very little of men and women from Liberia. Before we came here, the Liberian, the Sierra Leonean, we spoke English. We spoke basic English. So we already had the knowledge, and we should be excelling in this country. We should be visible. We should be making impact. But we have not changed our mindset. We have not redefined the liberty that brought us here. And that's something we need to start looking at. Our conversations when we meet, even in our community chat rooms, they are so toxic. They are so wrong that they are not sending the wrong message. We still got our children who grew up here, not going to school, involved into things they're not supposed to be in. And as a community, this is our duty. The love of liberty brought us here. We want to make sure that those boys and girls that we brought here can be good role models, that tomorrow those that come after them can know where they came from. Our culture is disappearing gradually. Many years ago, we used to have cultural groups here that performed. But we have forgotten so much. We think that to be civilized, we should denounce our culture. When I go to the Rwandese community, I see women who are educated, young ladies who are educated, stay showcasing their culture. The love of liberty brought us here. We need to make use of the liberty. Aaron Samanda, thank you for being a courageous Liberian boy who has always stood tall to make yourself known in the political space. As a community, we cannot all align ourselves to one political party. But we have to have people on the table that represent us. Because in the place where people boast of meritocracies, I believe there is nothing that is merited in this world. Because there are human elements, and those human elements, there are subjectivities there. You need sponsors at the table. Many years ago, when we used to do the Miss Liberia, there used to be a skinny young woman who I brought in from South Sudan. She used to train these girls. Her brother used to be the DJ. The sister and them used to do the cleaning. Down the line, this young lady is an honorable today in the parliament here. What it means to us is that if we work hard, we can succeed. But we need to walk along with our children. We need to guide them. The school system here involves collective approach. We cannot leave our children just with the schools. The Liberian community here has to be visible. We want to see young and brilliant, smart people from our community. We see so many good young people out there from other communities and very few in our community. In Liberia, young men and women are fighting to go to school. They are doing all sorts of things to gain education. But here, where the education is right to your doorsteps, people are still pushing prime untimely, just as people are doing in Liberia. People are still discussing education just as it is done in Liberia. We cannot live how we live in Liberia here and enjoy the liberty that brought us here. To our community, it is time that we desist from putting each other down, just as the pastor said. We have elected Christopher Sunday. That's the beauty of democracy. It is incumbent upon us to support him. A healthy community is where people work together. We need to work together. We need to be vocal. We need to be upfront to each other, but not bullying, not controversial. If we don't do these things, we are bound to perish. Tonight, I want to say thank you to all of you that put this beautiful event together. And thank you to the leadership for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. We need more representation in government, in policy making, in decision making, because these things, they determine our fate in this country. If we are not careful, we will continue to live in the dependency syndrome that have impacted our country, that we will throw guns ourselves and go to the bush and blame America for not making peace. I hope we can have a good evening. Thank you very much. God bless.
A hand of applause. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping with a big thanks to Mr. Joe TUAZAMA for their part.